Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Darcy's Misadventures with Mixed Media, and today I'm just making some mixed media pages that I am then going to use to make collage pieces, envelopes, tags, whatever. You can use any paper. I'm using some 8x8 paper that I have, which is from Park Lane, so I don't remember where I bought it. I probably bought it at Tuesday morning at some point. But you know, it could be 12x12 paper, 6x6 paper, 8.5x11 paper. It could be copy paper. It could be paper you stamped on. It doesn't matter. This is paperweight paper. And then I also have some Tim Holtz paper here that is a little bit heavier. I only need one side for what I'm going to do, really. So I'm starting first with gesso. You don't have to have gesso. Gesso is just a primer. It's a little bit more chalky. Different things like inks and paints take to it differently than the paper would. And of course this thing's stuck again. The gesso I bought is from 2019, so I don't know if that's why I get these gloopy bits or if it's from putting it in here. I don't know. I don't care. It's easier to squirt out of there when it does squirt. I am just taking a card, store card, whatever, and just grabbing that. The gesso, you could use just white paint, cream paint, any color paint you want. I just want to get a layer on all my pieces. In fact, I'm even going to use this piece back here, which is why I'm kind of, oh my goodness, really? I just had it. It's got a glue, it's got a, I can't with this. I just had to hit it hard enough to get that little gloopy piece out of there, because that was keeping me from being able to squirt out the gesso, and I've been really irritable this week. My medication, the insurance won't cover it because the doctor only put it in for 60 days instead of 90 days, and every time I call the doctor, they're like, we put in your prescription. I haven't been able to actually talk to a person. So I've been really low energy and exceptionally irritable, and I finally figured out it's because my sugars are high. Not that I tested my sugars, but believe me, I'm almost, I mean, I thought it was hormonal, but you know, I've been off this med for I haven't had a dose in a couple weeks. So, and I know my sugars were high when I got lab work done the other day. Why? So maybe not decant your gesso into one of these stupid things. I only need a little bit. And also it's because my gesso is like 5 years old. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. So, you know, so I've been dealing. So finally, I left a message with the pharmacy, because I've already left a message with my doctor, and both kinds of messages, email written and voicemail, and they're like, we sent it in on the 13th. I'm like, that's the one that needs to be readjusted. And so I left a message with pharmacy where I was almost crying at the end. And the lady called me back, and she's trying to keep me informed. So I don't want to record for too long either. So I'm probably going to, I don't want to stop the video every time, because if I stop the video and then merge it all together, then YouTube screws up the sound on it. So, you know, that's just one more thing to irritate me. I'm not usually like this. That's the thing, is I don't like being like this. I don't like feeling like this. I really don't. And I think I did feel like this for several years, which is why I was miserable. Finally did get my sugars under control, and this was supposed to be the first fall in years where I have energy. I've got, my iron is up, my blood pressure is better, my sugars were better, but yeah, apparently, you know, not having your medication. I'm going to still have my one medication. It's the second one, the one that works the best for me to get my sugars down, is the one that the insurance is giving me a hard time about. I want to cover up these guys' faces for sure, so I'm going a little bit heavier on their faces. And what am I going to do with this? Lots of things. I've been watching Laura the Half-Ass Crafter and Deborah, my Vagabond Style, making with, you know, collage fodder. I like to call it collage crumbs because people have a problem with fodder, but if you look up the second definition of fodder, it totally makes sense. But you know, it's because it was used in the wrong way, people don't like it. So I like collage crumbs. especially if it's like scraps, because that's like leftover bits that got dropped off, you know. These aren't necessarily leftover bits. These are full-on pieces of paper that would work fine just as they are. You could even use them as a background. You could collage, whatever. Whoops, you could rip them. That's the fun part. We're not going to worry about that. Any ink or paint will take a little bit differently to where that just ripped off, because this is just light paper. Alright, so the first layer was gesso, but it can also be paint. Don't get tied to what I'm using. Use what you have is what I'm saying. A little bit color got on that because there was color on my card. So I've got all of these bits that are partly drying, and I'm going to do some with paint and some with ink, and I don't know if I'll do them all in one video or if I'll do like separate videos for separate techniques. Some of this is really thick. I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer. So I'm going to start with paint. Yep, that's a little thick there. It's not dry yet. That's okay. I'm going to use the paint you have. I want some fall colors, so I'm using what I have for fall colors. This is quinacridone nickel azo gold. You can only get it as azo gold now, because apparently we had this, or you know, Golden and whoever had the quinacridone nickel azo gold because car companies were using it in manufacturing cars using that color, and then they would give the leftovers, or they would sell the, you know they're not giving anything to anyone. They would sell the leftovers to the paint companies, so they would have this gorgeous quinacridone nickel azo gold to then pass on to us. And well, they don't make cars in that color anymore. That is why, at least this is what, if I remember correctly, this is the story. That is why we can't get the quinacridone nickel azo gold, but they do sell an azo gold, and I'm pretty sure it was, it's either Trish Dewey or Teresa Aragon, one of those, maybe they both did, tested the quinacridone nickel azo gold and the azo gold, which Golden also sells. I think other companies have the color as well, but I like Golden, but they're expensive. Use what you have. If you just have orange, just use orange. Use the colors you like. You don't have to use the colors I'm using just because I'm using them. Also, I can't remember. So this is quinacridone violet. So I'm going to use a little bit of that. It's not on the gel plate, Patty. Patty Fireflies and Fairy Tales wanted me to do a color combination using the nickel azo gold. The nickel gold, azo gold, it's just azo gold now. And I think the quinacridone violet is what she wanted to see together and how they looked. So I'm gonna, but she wanted it on the gel plate, and I will eventually do it on the gel plate. For today, I'm just gonna do it on these papers. Get a couple layers, and I didn't have to dry it because I'm staying on the same side of the color wheel with the warm colors. Yeah, warm. And if you might notice, I'm also like kind of moving my paint around on my drop paper, because it will make some great, did I already say this? Anyway, that'll also make some great backgrounds, is whatever is left, whatever, you know, whatever gets dropped on there will be like, you know, awesomeness. You could also just cover the whole thing with a color, like a thin layer of it all over if you wanted to. I can kind of show you. You might want to water it down a little bit. Water would be nice. Make sure there's nothing growing in it. Just watering that down a little bit so it will spread a little bit easier. And then, because it's a fluid paint, it's the thin paint, it should still, some of the words should throw, that's a lot. Alright, let's also move it on to this one. There's no right or wrong way to do this, just FYI. So if you want to just kind of make a whole background, you can. Because like say I'm going to do some doodly flowers on that, or some stamped flowers. That is a good background for that. And I can still add a little bit of orange on top of that if I want to. Especially where there's a lot of white showing through. And not that white's bad. You could still have some white showing through. There we go. So that's kind of what that's looking like. I don't know what it did there, but you can see a little bit of the orange. Not a lot of it, but a little bit of it. And then I also want to add a little bit of the permanent dark violet to this, because why not? Don't need a lot. It's very dark. I don't want it to obliterate, so I just got it like on the card, and I'm just... These are very, you know, leaves changing colors, so if I want to do some leaf stamping or drawing or die cutting, you could also die cut with these, anything. Make tags with them. This is just background papers, and later on in the week, whatever, we will add some more stuff to it. Alright, so that was the liquid paint. We could also, you don't have to stick with the liquid paint. You could also do a heavier body paint, a less expensive paint. So we got some turquoise. I like turquoise for fall too. I don't know why, but I do. Especially if it's a more darker teal turquoise, which, you know, once you add other colors, this may end up. And I like turquoise or teal with like a deep red and a, you know, that orange as well. Like there's some red there. That looks nice with the turquoise. And pick up what's down there. And maybe you just get the leftover bits and just get a really thin layer. Fringe it up a little bit. Doesn't matter. Alright. We have some reds in here, and this, oh, the green. We have like this Titan Pale, green Titan Pale. So for like something like this, I'll try to use the colors that are already in there, so it looks a little bit more cohesive. Which side of this was I using? I don't know. Got paint all over me already. What's a little bit more paint? And so far, all I've used is the card. So if you've got like some of your kids' paints and a gift card that is already spent the money on, or a store card that you put your phone number in, so you don't really need the card anymore, go grab those and just start scraping paint on some papers to see what you get. We got a little bit more of that Titan Pale there. And if you don't believe me, I will pull out some of my cheap craft paints and use some of those as well. Because I'm serious when I say use what you have. Everything works. If you have some food coloring and you don't have the distress inks, which I'm going to use in a little while, either this video or another video, but you know, you use that, because there's no right or wrong, and you'll see you're not going to be able to tell the difference between the ones that I use the expensive paint on and the ones that I use the cheap craft paint on. And you will notice I'm just once again moving around where I do the paint on the backdrop, because the backdrop is going to be pretty awesome stuff when we're done. Hey, look, kind of got the color combo happening on that one, except for the I guess it was like a triple cream, which is what did I use some of that triple cream? I think Carrie was using the buttermilk, which I do have, so I could use some of the buttermilk on there. Buttermilk, also cheap craft paint. I just buy it in the big container because I use it kind of a lot. So it's kind of more of a yellowy cream. Could even add a little bit more blue on there. Sky blue, sage green, and double cream, triple cream, I don't know, some kind of cream, were the color combos in the Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artists Facebook group. Every month they do a color combo. Fun to do. You don't have to be in the group to do those challenges, but there's also swaps, and the swaps you do have to be in the group. So now that needs to sit and dry. Although what I could do is take something, might even take this piece of lace right here. Let's drop all kinds of things. If I knew where my little mesh thing was, I would do that. So I'm just going to, I did it the wrong direction, but that's alright. I'm going to press this because some of the paint was kind of thick. So I'm just pressing that in to try to get a little bit of texture. And I don't know if you can see a little bit where I pressed it in or not. Probably not. I can right there. So I was just trying to get some texture. You could do that by pressing stencils into your thick paint and whatnot. Like, and if you're using watercolors or inks, you can use a stencil, and that will like make things sit differently. I will show you that. So I want something with a small pattern, and so I think the quilted crop circles will work for that. And then I've just got some distress spray stains. You can use the pads and just, you know, spray them on a piece of plastic or whatever, and add water to them or whatever and pick them up like that if you don't have the sprays. I like the sprays. I like what they do. Alright, so I just kind of smushed that down just to, I could even spray a little bit of water on it. So I am going to set this stencil on top of this while it dries. That's it. And then we'll see later what happens. But that's what I'll do sometimes with stuff. Also, I haven't done this in a while. I'll have to find my instant coffee grounds. That's still very wet. Alright, so we're adding layers. Let's do some more. Where's the rusty hinge? I don't know. It's up there somewhere. Alright, so I've got spice marmalade. Just gonna spray it. And the vintage photo. And just gonna kind of spray that a little bit so it will move a little bit. I might even come in with this one, spray it a little bit. Just press it on there. Takes differently if you spray it than if you don't. That was a little nozzle. So that is now different, and it'll dry later, but you see how it's darker where the paper is and lighter where the gesso is. And then we have a layer, same here. You can see it's darker with the paper to lighten as it dries. And then we can add another layer after these dry. It's a lot of playing and waiting is what you're doing with these pieces. I like the 8x8 size. It's easy to work with. You can make nice size envelopes. You can get like 2 to 4 tags or journal cards from them, double journal cards, however, whatever you like, however you like. Let's see. This is Dilutions paint, Fiery Sunset. What's nice about these is they are very transparent. Whoops. So if I come along with this card again and just spread it on there with the card, the words are still going to show through. And you can even use like a baby wipe or a damp towel to spread this on to make it like a really, I'm spraying a little bit of water on there and grabbing a paper towel, and we'll just kind of pull that through to just spread it a little bit more. It doesn't change the color really, because it's highly pigmented. They're a lot like the Tim Holtz paints as far as viscosity and whatnot. Just her Diane's colors, I guess. Alright. So, sorry. There is that. I am going to spray a little bit of the vintage photo distress. And then I'm going to grab one of my brayers. Just brayer that, and that just softens it. So I'll set that up to do that the other day. So I don't know, just throw stuff at your paper, because you never know what you're going to get. I've got some really cool things happening there. I don't know how. I don't really, I mean, I don't think that this paint is, I'm pretty sure the paint is permanent, but maybe while it's still wet it has a little bit of modeling. Oh my goodness, it is. It's coming up a little bit when I spray it with the water. So, you know, try things. Let's do one where we do that on purpose. Let's try the turquoise, just regular paint, and see what happens, because maybe this is something, if you get your paint fast enough. Also going to wet the paint again and spread it. I know some of you are like, why do you wet the paint? That's weird. Well, because I want it to be thin. I don't want it to dry right away for me to try this. And I want to be able to see, I want it to be more transparent. Alright, so I'm going to just drip water, well, I'm spraying water. If I spray just a little bit out of this spritzer, it gets bigger. It's a spray, it's a stress sprayer. If you spray full on, you get little sprays. If you spray just a little bit, you get bigger sprays. So I'm letting that sit for a minute. And then, because the paint was not totally dry, which is why this will work. And because it's not like distress inks, it's just paint. But because the paint was not dry all the way, then I was able to get some pickup from the paint. So there you go, you can get some textures with that. So we've got the gesso showing through with that texture, and we have some of the maps still showing through, and then we have the picked up the paint and getting more texture with that. And you add some stamping and stenciling to that, and you've got a gorgeous piece to just put on a tag or a card or cut up to use collage, whatever you want to do. And I mean, look how gorgeous those look together. I mean, you could collage those together and make something pretty awesome too. Let's see what else. We're just playing and experimenting today, apparently, because that's fun to do. I'm going to try to do what I just did, just with some yellow this time. And this is also a different brand. This is, well, it's the same brand. No, it's a different brand. The other one was Art Smith. This one is Master's Touch. So, spreading it on. Sprayed a little bit of water. Got some turquoise in there from the card. It's all good. It's a lot of paint, so I'm just going to take this one and just kind of smush that on there, and it'll pick up random pieces here and there, which will just be kind of cool. It's all good. You know, Gail Gustinelli likes to add yellow to everything, and it really brightens it up. It really does. Alright. Got that on there nice and thick. Say you want bigger spots, we just take this out like this, and you can drip it like that if you want bigger spots. Like if you don't have this sprayer, you don't have to get this sprayer. Just get water and even a paintbrush, whatever, or your fingers. I mean, your fingers will get even bigger pieces. Let that sit for a minute. I mean, this is real time. This is like while I'm talking to you, this is sitting for and waiting just for that water to sink into the paint, which is not totally dry. If your paint is dry, this will not do this. So if it's not doing it for you, you might have let your paint dry too fast. It's pretty humid today outside, I think, although the AC was on earlier because, you know, you could also, you know, while your paint is still damp, like it's still a little tacky right now, so I might even be able to come back in with a baby wipe and a stencil, if I can find a stencil. I have stencils, believe me. Believe me, you, I've got some stencils. Let's go ahead and grab this and I don't have a baby wipe right this second, so we're just gonna wet this paper towel while the fan sprays it back into my face. And just kind of, I don't know, rubbing and dabbing and rubbing. And also, I think because there was a layer of gesso under there, it dried slower on where the gesso was too, so that probably played a part in what, you know, how much paint I'm able to get off from wherever. It's just, oh, that water's gonna get underneath. That wasn't smart, or maybe it was. I don't know. We'll find out. Like I said, experimenting. I mean, it does look like it got lighter under here. It's hard to tell. Of course, you could also go darker. Oh, good, it did pick up. So yeah, you could also, but be careful because it's wet and it's on wet, and so, you know, it could get stuck and rip. So there, you got a little bit of that showing through. Plus there was probably some paint, a little rip, but that's okay. If you're going for grungy, a rip here and there is not a bad thing. We'll add more layers to that. I need to be careful because all of my pieces over here are on top of each other and drying, which means they could stick to each other and be more grungy than I'm really wanting. Got a few more pieces here. And let's go ahead and grab a piece without gesso, just so you can see the difference between. Let's grab a couple of pieces. Here we go. Alright, so we'll do one with the paint, see if we like it just as much. We might. So definitely want to use the orange because let's get the yellow off my card here. And some orange. And the cool thing about the Azo Gold, this orange, is that when it goes over some blue or some greens, it kind of turns it to like more of a patina. It looks kind of cool. So that's how it looks without the gesso added first. And like I said, you can also use acrylic paint, any color, just to put that first layer and some texture on. And then this is, and what did I just do? Oh, I just did scattered straw instead of the brown, but I still want brown. I think these will make some cool leaves. I'm going to spray that. Oops, spray a little bit of water on there. You see it absorbs into the paper pretty quickly. I'm going to take this one again and just add a little bit more to it. And so we added a layer. These lines are going to dry later, but they should still show if I let it dry naturally, so that's cool. Also, I'm going to take this one and just add another layer to that because, you know, the more layers you have, the more interest you have. So, well, and I did get, apparently I got a little paint on there, but that's okay. So that's what, I'm going to dry this real quick because I'll show you more better. Oh, sorry, forgot to leave that on top. So, you know, that's what that looks like without the gesso. And did I have the one with? Oh, and then this is the one with the gesso. Just different. It's just, there's a little more interest in this one because it's got that scrapey stuff on the back, but this still looks good too. So, you know, there's no right or wrong way to do it. So you start with your layer of white paint or gesso. Start with that. Then just start adding paint, inks, whatever, just randomly. Those are the first layers. That's it. That's all we're doing today. The next video we'll do some more layers. I may add more layers to these off screen. Well, I probably will. And so that the next time we come back, we'll add some stamping and some stenciling to these, and just add another layer. So this is the first layers. The first layers is background. It doesn't matter. If you end up doing something you don't like, you can push it back a little bit with some white paint or gesso. It's all good. I'll show you how to do that if I remember in the next video too. That one's just got the gesso on it. So I'm going to keep playing with these off camera and adding more of the first layers, which is just using the credit card paints and inks. That's it. So if you want to follow along, go do that with a bunch of papers. 6-inch, 8-inch, 12-inch scraps, your little scraps, big scraps, paper bag, it doesn't matter. And remember, have something underneath because that's going to be just as fun to use in the end. So next video will be another layer, another video, another layer. I hope you guys have a delightful day. Love you.